you know who is starting to copy the OutKick line? None other than screaming Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith said, although he would never voluntarily run for president, well, I mean, you know how it is if everybody came and got him. Because who doesn't want to hear some yelling idiots screaming at us? Oh, by the way, we already got that in President Biden. My bad. Anyway, if Stephen A. Smith, if the Democratic Party came to Stephen A. Smith of the Republican Party and said, hey, we need you to run for president, every white dude in America would be afraid to criticize his dumb ass, not me. Not me, because I don't need Stephen A. Smith, who was a failure in every area until Skip Bayless bailed him out and he found a niche scaring white guys in Building 4 on the ESPN campus, and then that became fairly popular. I'll also guarantee you he ain't the number one show, but he says he is, and that's all you need to do. But anyway, if he was called by the American people that vote him in, he would. And I can't say it. He reiterates that he would love to debate former President Donald Trump. Now, here's the deal with that. I have a very good friend. He was great friends with Barack Obama. In fact, I believe he was in Obama's wedding. When Barack Obama got into the presidency and had his first real foreign policy meeting where they actually told the president what was going on, not the briefings that candidates get, he called George W. Bush and apologized. And he told my friend, I told Bush I knew nothing about what I was talking about in foreign policy. I knew nothing. That's what I'm always trying to tell you. There's always a backstory. There's always something going on in sports, in politics, in life that you just don't know. I have a few theories on life, few sayings on life, and one of them is, when that front door closes at someone's house, you don't know what the hell that family's really like. True dat. Well, Stephen A. Smith, he can yell, he can scream, and he would probably be good in a debate because he could yell and he could scream. But he don't know his ass from third base when it comes to real stuff, foreign policy. What's going on really in the Ukraine? Tell me about Russia. What's going on? Why are we acquiescing to China? Why is the NBA acquiescing to China? Why are we so afraid to interject ourselves into race issues? What's real? Not screaming. So I get a kick out of it when guys like Stephen A. Smith get a little bit of a platform after being fired from every job he had. They get a platform, and this happens all the time at ESPN. And then you start believing your own bullshit. You do. You start believing your own bullshit. And next thing you know, not only are you a guy that's on TV debating other morons like Shannon Sharp, well, you also think you're good enough or smart enough or informed enough to be the president of the United States. Look, foreign policy, the economy, education, the border, public safety to our university, or to our country. Now, some would say, well, you know what? Trump was an outsider that handled it. Yeah, well, if you think that Trump didn't have a team of advisors getting him ready, you're crazy. If you think that Trump, because of his business experience, didn't have an inside edge on certain things, and if you think that Stephen A. Smith is anywhere near Trump in terms of knowing about this thing, you're out of your mind. But good for Stephen A. Smith, he thinks he can. It's really stupid. It's like anybody else saying, I could be shortstop for the Cubs, man. See, in my world, in Northwest Indiana, everybody could have, except the coach screwed him. That's the way the world works. Stephen A. Smith can say that. It's like Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh saying, we should have revenue sharing for the players in college, all the while making $9 million. Of course he could say that as he runs off to the NFL. Anybody can say anything, but here's Smith. I don't know if I would win. But if I was nominated and the American people said they needed me, I would go for it. If the American people need that jackass, then guess what? The country's in bad shape. I would never run for office, but I will say this. I did mean when I say what I said months ago. I would love to be in a presidential debate. I would love it. I would have a blast, especially if it was against Trump. Of course you would. Because you'd get to yell and scream. And you'd get to make no sense. He once got mad at me. He called my producer when I had him on my show, and he just started talking. I have no respect for anything he says about basketball. None. Zero. Zip. Some of the things he says about things are fine. But basketball, he don't know. So he's on my show, and he's yelling and screaming, and he's going on and on and on. And I'm like, hey, thanks a lot. Goodbye. He calls back, says, well, I didn't get a chance to talk to the Pacers. And I said, well, that's because you talked about everything and nothing, and none of it mattered. I guess you could do that in a debate. Here's the deal. White correspondents, white political reporters, white political analysts would immediately say Stephen A. Smith won, because there's still a faction, a big faction of the media in our society that's scared to death to say black men didn't do great. Scared to death. Oh, my God, you see it. Even our police are afraid to say black men didn't do great. You see it all the time. When a guy gets arrested for murder or whatever, and he's blacker than Stephen A. Smith, many times it's white is the race. We're so afraid. We're so afraid of 6% of the population. We're so scared. Oh, my God, black man, we can't say he did bad. Oh, my God, there might be a riot. Oh, my God. You know what I'm saying? So the idea is this. The idea is very simple. Please, God, don't let this guy debate, because I can't stand the yelling, the screaming. I can't stand the stupid. I can't stand the constant use of words he knows nothing about. But we're not allowed to say that. You would never, ever, ever hear a white political pundit say, well, you know what? That was simply ridiculous. That was absolutely absurd. You don't hear white media pundits say, you know what, Smith, every day, here's what he said, here's a transcript, and it makes no sense. I have a bad habit. My habit is that I listen. I actually listen. I go, huh, and then I react. It's actually my best habit. I'm a good listener. And when I listen to this guy, there's nothing said. Nothing. Shut up. It's not tough. He wasn't tough as a kid. He ain't tough now. He's never done anything tough. He acts tough, which always amuses me. I tell the story all the time. When I was at West Virginia and I was trying to get the hell out of there, the president of West Virginia smacked the desk, stood up, pointed at me, and said, I'll destroy you. And I started laughing. Whenever anybody threatens me, I start laughing. And in my mind, I think to myself, how long would it take me to kick his ass? How long would it take me to knock his fat ass out? That's what I think when I hear Stephen A. Smith yelling and screaming. That's what I think, actually, I hate to say this, when I hear Joe Biden yelling and screaming. I just start laughing. Like, I wonder how long it would take me at 61 years old to kick your ass. Huh. Maybe not long. Maybe I could. I don't know. But that's what I think. So quit the yelling and screaming. I get what you're doing, Stephen, and it worked. It worked. Why? Because we're talking about you. The number one show in America in the morning is talking about you. Well done.